Some stories are hidden in the shadows. Welcome to DarkLens.
Imagine catching a fish from the ocean and opening its mouth, only to discover that its tongue is alive. Not the fish's tongue, something else. A creature that killed the original tongue, drank its blood, and somehow took its place. And even more disturbing, the fish continues living as if nothing happened. At first, it sounds impossible, like a scene from a horror movie or a story invented to terrify fishermen. But hidden beneath the surface of warm coastal waters, this bizarre phenomenon is very real. For decades, fishermen occasionally pulled fish from the ocean and noticed something strange inside their mouths. At first glance, it looked like a large bug trapped behind the teeth. Most assumed it had somehow crawled inside by accident. But a closer look revealed something far stranger. The creature wasn't trapped, it was attached, exactly where the tongue should have been. The fish was still alive, still swimming, still feeding, still hunting, as if the intruder inside its mouth belonged there. The discovery left scientists with a disturbing mystery. How could a fish survive after losing one of the most important organs inside its mouth? The answer would reveal one of the strangest relationships ever discovered in nature. Because this wasn't a parasite feeding beside an organ. It wasn't hiding underneath it, and it wasn't simply damaging it. The original tongue was gone. Completely gone. In its place sat a living creature that had somehow taken over its function. A creature so specialized that it would later become famous around the world. Scientists eventually gave it a name, Cymothoa exigua, but most people know it by a much more disturbing title, the tongue-eating parasite. Its reputation comes from a process so bizarre that even experienced marine biologists struggled to believe it when they first encountered it. Because this parasite doesn't merely infect a fish, it changes the fish forever. And to understand how it does that, we need to go back to the beginning. Long before the fish loses its tongue, long before the parasite takes its place, back to a moment when the creature is barely visible to the naked eye. Because every nightmare has a beginning, and this one begins drifting silently through the ocean in search of its first victim. Long before it steals a tongue, long before it enters a fish's mouth, the tongue-eating parasite begins life as something almost invisible, a tiny larva drifting through the open ocean. At this stage, it is completely vulnerable. It has no tongue to replace, no fish to live inside, no protection from predators, and most importantly, very little time. Its survival depends on a single objective: find a host, fast. The ocean is one of the largest environments on Earth. For a creature only a few millimeters long, finding the right fish is like searching for a single house in an entire country. Many never succeed. Some are eaten by other animals. Others simply drift until they die. But the few that survive begin a journey unlike anything else in nature. Eventually, one of these tiny larvae encounters a fish. At first, nothing seems unusual. The fish continues swimming through the water, completely unaware that danger is nearby. Then, the parasite makes its move. Surprisingly, it doesn't enter through the mouth. Instead, it takes a much more hidden route: the gills. Every second, water flows through a fish's gills, delivering oxygen that keeps it alive. For the parasite, those same gills provide the perfect entrance. As water passes through the fish's respiratory system, the tiny invader slips inside unnoticed. No struggle, no chase, no warning. The fish feels nothing. The parasite attaches itself to the delicate tissues of the gills and begins its silent invasion. For a while, it remains there, hidden from view, safe, undetected. But the gills are never its final destination. The parasite is heading somewhere else, somewhere far more important: the mouth. Scientists still find this remarkable. Out of every organ inside the fish's body, the parasite targets one specific location. Not the eyes, not the stomach, not the brain, the tongue. And once it reaches that destination, one of the strangest biological takeovers ever discovered is about to begin. Because the parasite doesn't want to live beside the tongue, it doesn't want to share space with it. It wants something far more extreme. It wants the tongue gone. And soon, that's exactly what starts to happen. Once the parasite reaches the fish's mouth, the real attack begins. The parasite attaches itself to the tongue using specialized hook-like legs. Then, it begins feeding. Unlike most parasites, which simply steal nutrients from their hosts, the tongue-eating parasite attacks the organ itself. Its mouth parts are adapted to cut tissue and draw blood. Day after day, it feeds from the tongue's blood supply. Slowly, the blood vessels that keep the tongue alive are destroyed. Without blood, tissues begin to die. The tongue shrinks, weakens, and gradually withers away. The fish continues swimming through the ocean, completely unaware that one of its most important organs is dying. Eventually, the tongue becomes nothing more than dead tissue. Then, it disappears entirely. Scientists expected the fish to struggle or starve. Instead, something even stranger happened. The parasite moved forward into the empty space left behind. And in that moment, it was no longer just an invader. It was about to become the fish's new tongue. The tongue is gone. What remains is an empty space inside the fish's mouth. As the original tongue disappears, the parasite moves into position. Its body attaches firmly to the remaining tongue stub. Its legs lock it in place. Then something extraordinary happens. The fish begins using the parasite as if it were its own tongue. When food enters the mouth, the parasite helps hold and position it. The fish continues feeding almost normally. The original organ is gone. A living creature has taken its place. To this day, Cymothoa exigua remains the only known parasite capable of functionally replacing an organ in its host. Destroy the organ, then become the organ. The fish remains alive and able to feed. The parasite gains a safe home, food, and protection. This unusual arrangement can last for years. But replacing a tongue is only part of the parasite's plan. Its ultimate goal is reproduction, and its reproductive strategy is almost as strange as the tongue theft itself. Every Cymothoa exigua begins life as a male. When multiple parasites find the same host, the first parasite often changes sex and becomes female. Any later arrivals remain male. One female, one or more males, all living within a single host. Once mature, the female produces offspring. Hundreds of tiny larvae may eventually be released into the surrounding water. The next generation begins the same dangerous journey, searching for hosts, repeating a cycle that has existed for millions of years. For the parasite, success depends on one important rule: keep the host alive. A dead fish means a dead home, a dead food source, a dead future. That balance explains why many infected fish appear surprisingly healthy. Some continue living for years with the parasite attached, swimming, hunting, feeding, carrying a living replacement organ everywhere they go. Eventually, every host dies. The parasite abandons the body, but somewhere else in the ocean, another larva is already searching for its first victim. Nature is filled with predators that rely on strength, speed, venom, and camouflage. The tongue-eating parasite chose a completely different path. It quietly enters a body, removes an organ, and takes over its job. A strategy so bizarre that it sounds like science fiction, yet it exists in the real world, hidden inside the mouths of unsuspecting fish, waiting for the next host, waiting for the next tongue. Because sometimes the most disturbing creatures in nature aren't the ones that kill their hosts. They're the ones that become part of them.